Hello everyone and welcome back to Mano's Minecraft. I have a little bit of bad news, sort of. I recorded an episode last night and two things kind of happened that worked out in my favor, sort of. In the episode I was going to show you guys, I showed you progress downstairs and I tested a couple things out with how the storage room would look out design wise, and then we went into the Nether and we explored a Nether fortress. In my opinion, that was an absolutely horrible episode. Absolutely nothing got accomplished. Everything that was put up got torn down. I went in the Nether and I died several times. This is my death count now. And yeah, so I didn't like it and I was not looking forward to making it. The second bad thing that happened, which actually worked out in my favor, is after I finished recording, my computer kind of wigged out and erased what I had done in the last 24 hours. And that is because I opened up my computer earlier that day and I cleaned out the fan because it was getting pretty hot faster than it should, and it just freaked out on me. So I don't have that footage anymore, but that's okay because it was bad footage. So I can at least show you what we got. We got 5 gold horse armor, a diamond, and an iron horse armor. We went and got some nether wart and soul sand, and we found all this golden stuff. So that's pretty much all we found. We did see a couple blaze spawners, but they weren't very good ones to make a farm out of. I was hoping to find a double blaze farm, which I did not find, which is a shame. Anyway, cut between the end of that episode and the beginning of this episode. This is what I have done so far. These are all the resources I have gotten ready to build this, which will not be built until downstairs is complete, till the mob farm is done, because this entire building is going to be based entirely around it. They're going to come up, get separated, and land here, and I want them to either be able to just passively die so I can get items while I work, or I want to be able to come up and kill them to get experience. So until that is complete, nothing here is going to be built. I'll show you downstairs in a second. I've made quite a bit of progress. I am all pooped. I hate digging. I've dug so much. I just can't take it anymore. Both of these were filled with cobble, but I have since been smelting it up. I even made this an auto smelter. You put in the cobble you want, it funnels down into the furnace, which doesn't have any source being fed into it because I put 10 blocks of coal in it, and that's 90 pieces of coal, and it takes 8 coal to smelt a stack. So I'm going to be smelting a whole ton of stuff. This is what I've got so far, and it goes in there. I do have quite a bit more resources now. I have 3 3/4 stacks of redstone blocks, nearly a stack of lapis. This is about the same. Almost 9 blocks of diamonds, and 44 blocks of coal, minus the 10 that I use in there, and all that I used for torches and all that fun stuff. But that's that. This is this. We're gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna show you all the progress I made. Last episode I said that I was going to be making 5x5 platforms, or that episode or the episode before. But I changed my mind, because that would mean a 5x5 platform gives me 25 spawning spaces, and I would have had that in a 5x5 area, going 5 platforms by 5 platforms, which is 25 platforms, each having 25 spawning places. So that turned out to be 25 squared, which, if memory serves me correct, was, I believe, 625, if that is correct. It is. So that would leave 625 spawning spaces. I did not like that. It's not very much. So then I thought, alright, what if I were to just increase it to a 6x6, because this room is already going to be even numbered. I wouldn't have to mess with anything. So we have one platform would be 6x6, so it would have 36, and then 6x6, so that'd be 36 squared, which turns out to be 1,296, which is pretty much double what we had just by increasing it by 1. And I've completely dug out this area. Another thing that my foresight kind of failed me on was wiring. I want to be able to control spiders' spawnings. I want to get string, but at some point I'm going to have more string than I'm going to want, and because of that, I'd rather have gunpowder being made. So to shut them off, I'm going to need to wire up some pistons, and to know how that works, you have to know how spiders work. So I'm going to explain to you guys right now. Spiders require a 3x3x2 area. So 3x3x2 area. These bottom 9 blocks have to be empty, and they have to be on top of an opaque block, something that any mob can spawn on top of. These top 3 blocks, they can be anything transparent. So glass would work, or air. Okay? So that's the basics of spider spawning. And of course they need a light level of 7 or less, as the majority of overworld mobs need. So to continue from that, because our platforms are 6x6, there is no single spot we can raise a block to stop a 3x3 area from happening, because there are 4 3x3 areas. So my solution to that is to raise the middle of each 3x3 area by 1 block, which will prevent spider spawning, because the middle is 3x2, not 3x3. Spiders can't spawn there. So because I need to include some wiring, this, how I said before, my foresight failed me, does not work. Because, if I can find it, there, we're at bedrock level, and you can't really wire very well at bedrock. So my solution to this is to make this floor my wiring floor. This is where all of my wiring is going to be. I'm going to go up 1, 2, and this is going to be the floor of my mob farm. Maybe. It might be that. It might be that. I haven't quite decided yet. I'm leaning more towards this, and I'm going to explain to you guys why that is. So, because, I've just decided this is going to be it. It's going to be cramped, but it's going to be fine, because it's going to be pretty awesome what I'm about to show you guys close towards the end of the episode. So this is going to be the floor, then it's going to be spawning pad here, and then 2 blocks up, because I don't want endermen spawning down here. They have no reason to be here. They're just going to touch the water from the water streams, and they're going to just fly somewhere else, or teleport somewhere else. So that's that. You can also see that I've laid out, this is the size of each pad. 36 pads in total. This place took me quite a while to dig out. And I still have got like 3 or 4 more blocks to go up. Probably more because I have to wire. But I guess that's okay. Yeah. So that's pretty much all the work I have done between episodes. Now, I have been planning out a design for how I want these spawning pads to work. Because there is another thing that my foresight had failed to enlighten me on, and that is that mobs will not move if they are further than 32 blocks of the player. So, at least hostile mobs. So, that skeleton over there, he will not move at all, because we are further than 32 blocks. Did you see that he just disappeared? That is another thing. Okay. Here is some more Minecraft science for you guys. The player occupies this block space, okay? Let's just say that. In a 16 block radius, so 16 blocks out in a circle, and closer is the range that a mob spawner will spawn mobs from. If you're 17 blocks out, it won't work. 16 is the magic number. It's in a giant sphere, not just a circle. From the player, 24 blocks out, and the 25th and further, mobs will spawn, assuming spawning conditions are met. So light level of 7 or less, there is a spawnable block below the area, there's enough room, all that fun stuff. So 24 and out, mobs will spawn. 32 blocks and out, mobs will not move. As you can see, that skeleton over there has not moved since we saw him. I don't see any other mobs, at least hostile ones. But they will not move. They will spawn, they will not move. And they also have a chance of despawning. Okay? So 32 and further out, mobs have a possibility to despawn. 128 blocks and further, mobs will just spawn, instant despawn. It's like they were never there, because they're too far away to make a difference. So because of that, and while I was digging this out, I realized we are at Y70. Okay? Down 32. We'll round it 35. Alright? And we're still nowhere near that. So mobs will spawn at our floors down there, but they won't move, which is not very good, because the whole style of this mob farm, being the original canal style, is they spawn on the platforms, they wander around for a bit, and then they fall off, and then they get pushed to wherever they're supposed to go and get processed. They won't walk around because they're too far. So I had to come up with a solution for that. And this solution took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that involves water. Creeper. Mobs will not move on their own, but they will still move if they are being pushed by something else, water included. So I had an idea to flush the mobs out. Thing is, water in Minecraft has a certain way it works. And by that, I mean I'll just show you. Okay. I'm gonna make it day first because I don't want to get blown up. I've had too many deaths. Made me sad. Okay. So this is what we're working with in terms of water. Let's say we have a hole. Okay. And you place a block of water here. One way. It flows into the hole. Okay. Let's go further back. Into the hole again. 3 back. Into the hole again. Are you seeing a pattern? Water flows to the lowest possible spot. But in what radius? So we were at 3. This is 4. Still does it. Going out to 5. Still does it. And just because I know the answer, 6 is when it starts to flow out and I don't want to have to replace all these torches. I'll just show you for a second. You see that? It started to spread in every direction. So 6 is the magic number. But that would require the spawning pads downstairs, assuming, let's just say that I had 1 bucket of water being placed. That would have to be the center, and there'd have to be 6 blocks in each direction. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Each pad would have to be 13 by 13, which is pretty big. And not all of them would even get covered up by the water when I went to flood it, because water spreads 8 blocks. So water, for example, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but it can also go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as long as it's connected. So the corners of that would not be covered in water. So that's no good. But after a little playing around, if you remember that water moves to the lowest spot, you can take advantage of that and you can change what's considered the lowest spot. That's where pistons and redstone come into play. This is going to be downstairs. This is going to be my very first pretty redstone intensive project I'm going to be doing in this world. And I'm going to show you because I really cannot explain it without showing you how it works. So I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to go into my test world and I'm going to show you guys what I built. And here we are, guys. This is what I built. Disregard all these. These were tests that I was going through before. So this is our spawn pad. It's 6 by 6 and 2 wide water channel, just like it was originally going to be. I had planned for it to be too tall so mobs couldn't just swim back up, but after doing a bit more research, mobs aren't going to be moving. They're just going to be in the water being pushed around like this. So I don't really need to worry about them jumping back up. This plus here in the middle is nothing. Nothing in this plus is going to move. These sandstone blocks control the spider spawning. So if we go over here, they all pop up, and there is no longer a 3 by 3 by 2 area for the spiders to spawn in. This also kind of decreases each spawning space by 4, so it's 32 per, but it's still plenty. So that's that. I'm going to show you all the wiring. I'm proud of the wiring. But anyway, so my original idea, I'll show you over here, was this. Okay, I'll just have these guys here, and I'll hit a button. Water will come out. it'll flush all the mobs into the canals, and then I'll be happy. No. This only covers up 20 of the 36 spaces up, which is 5 nines, about 55.555% of the spawning space. Mobs can still spawn here. And this kind of makes the mob farm pretty inefficient because you're decreasing the spawning space by 56%. You don't want that. So that's no good. Then I came over here and started fiddling around with super compact stuff. And it did not work out, ideally. I wanted to try having everything in the floor, but it just would not work. At least not the way I was messing with it. I'm sure someone could do it at some point, but not me. This was another one of my attempts to try getting everything to fit down here. This was like my first breakthrough, you could say. But this is where it comes into play. The waterfall is down here, like I showed you before. Flip the lever, water falls down, just like that. Okay, cool. We flush the mobs into the canals, but we still have that 56% decrease. And we're missing 44% of every spot. I don't like that very much. How can we fix that? That's what these gold blocks are for. Probably could tell by looking at that over there. Water flows to the lowest point. So water is going to come down here. The lowest point from this direction here, from this block, is there and there. So immediately, water is just going to go straight. And that's what we saw before. It only took up this plus sign. But how can we make it go to this block? Well, this block goes up. We can't make this go lower without having to do some really complicated wiring. So let's take it one step at a time. First, it's going to flow in this direction. From this point, where is the lowest block available? 2 blocks over in that direction. 3 blocks in that direction. 5 blocks in that direction. 4 blocks in that direction. So it's going to go this way. But how can we get it to go over here? Well, let's see. 1, 2. Okay. What if we lowered that block? 1, 2. What's that? Water will flow there now. And it works the same here. 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2. So there's 3 ways to get to these 2 blocks from each corner. That's what I did. If you watch this, I'm going to flip the switch and watch what happens to the gold. All goes down. Meanwhile, these still function independently. Whether they're up or down. So, this is my plan. The water up there and the gold blocks down there are going to be connected to a single circuit. The gold blocks are going to go down. The water is going to get 1 pulse. And look at this. From all 36, instead of 16 blocks being open, only 4 blocks are open. That is an incredible improvement. So we have 4 out of the 36. That is a lot better than what we had before. And then we can just pop them back up, and it stays there. Because water will not change its direction unless it's reset. So I would have to pull the water out and replace it for this to make a difference. And then stop the water. My idea with this, because mobs will not walk on their own, is every probably 15 to 30 seconds. Down, go, up. Let the mobs flow off. Probably give it 10-15 seconds. Cut the water. Wait for mobs to spawn. Rinse and repeat. So we have a flushing system. Mobs spawn, blocks go down. Water comes in, pushes them off. Blocks go back up, water stops, go again. And I built 2 of these because I wanted to know how I would be able to connect them. And if you're not good with redstone, ignore this part. But if you're interested, then here we go. First things first. This, simple enough. This goes on top of the dispensers and it activates them. When I actually do this, I'm going to put some lights down here so nothing spawns down there, because that would not be very good. First thing I'm going to show you is the spider stoppers right there. So that is this line. It goes up into this repeater, and in order to have it stop from messing with the gold blocks, I had to make it bend. If it was just like this, it would touch that, it would give power to this piston, and it would retract, and it wouldn't work very well. So that's kind of why I have this big circle here. Piston blocks they're not literally transparent, you can't see through them, but they let light through. And they reduce light level by 3 as it travels through. And because they're technically transparent, I guess you'd call them translucent, redstone wire can bend through them, as opposed to if you were to do it over a normal block, it would get cut off. Not with pistons. So the wiring on each side, it splits apart, it goes up this block gap, bridges over, and comes back down, bending around these so it doesn't give them power. Because this is pointing to the pistons, they receive its power. So if I come down here, you see it's pointing into it, even though it's going around it, it still counts as receiving redstone signals, so they go up. And that's how that works. And I basically did the same thing, I just put a repeater at this exact same spot and it wired it up exactly. So that's how the spider stopping works. Now the gold blocks, the advanced flusher, I'm calling it that now. It comes from here and it splits off in 2 directions. Each side is exactly the same, so I'm just going to show you one of it. I want to get both of these piston blocks power. And how can you do that? With just a single dot of redstone. That gives power in all 4 directions, including the block it's on. So I had to put a repeater here because if I put this in, it just gives power to this. It's just only pointing to this piston, not that piston. And the repeater fixes that because it supplies power to this block, which supplies power to the redstone, which supplies power to these pistons. Similarly, with this trick involving pistons being translucent, I could not just put a redstone piece here because it would only give power to this piston and not this piston. So I had to stick a repeater under there, drag out the power, and basically reverse this. So it was redstone, it was repeater, redstone, repeater. Now it's, well, the same thing, but disregard these outside blocks. It was redstone, repeater, now it's repeater, redstone. So that this redstone does not only give power to this, it gives power to both of them. And there's a transfer of power from both of these. I decided to put, well, I had to put repeaters here instead of redstone, because it would only give power to this. It'd just be a straight line. And I need to give to both of them. So that's basically what I did. And my plan for the basement of our world is each row of 6 is going to be powered individually. And then at the end, they're all going to meet up in one line and be controlled from a single master switch. And I want these to be buttons. I'm not really a fan of levers. I like buttons, and I can use T flip-flop, which is a basic circuit which makes buttons act as levers. So that's that. This didn't really take me that long. Messing around and getting this idea is what took the most. It took the longest. And like I said, these two are going to be on a single circuit. And if I can remember, it goes this one, this one. It doesn't really matter if I put this back up. Oh no! Oh no! Poop! Oh well. I remember how it works. But yeah. I'm not so sure if these blocks need to be up while it's flushing. I don't really think it's going to make a difference. The only concern I'm going to have is with these water currents, if they're going to be affected by the water pushing off, which I could stop also. I could just add a couple signs to each side like this. Not there. I don't know. I'm gonna have I'll worry about that later. But yep, that's what we got. So I'm gonna check how long these videos are, and I'll get back with you guys in the real world. Alright guys, it looks like we're at about 30 minutes right here, so I'm gonna call it an episode. I'm going to do some math before next episode. I'm going to find out exactly how many pistons I'm going to need, and they all have to be sticky pistons, which is kind of a bummer, which is a lot. I can actually probably do it right here. It's 3 per corner, so that's 3 times 4 is 12 per pad. There's 36 pads, so 12 times 36 is 432 sticky pistons, which is 6 3/4 stacks of sticky pistons. 6.75 stacks. This is a big project. I did not plan on this to be such a big project. Okay. Well, I know what we're doing next episode. We're gonna go over to that swamp over there in the night. We're gonna go slime hunting. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you in the next episode where we actually get progress done in the video, not just talk about it. I'll see you next time.